every year, it seems we make changes to this process, just to make sure that it's as smooth and as transparent as possible, not only for our citizens, but also for all of us that are really impacted by this budget process. This year, I think we've made great progress in that direction. For the first time, our new Munis financial system will be utilized throughout the entire budget process, starting with this preliminary budget. So each department entered their anticipated revenues and their expenditure request directly into the Munis system. This was a vast improvement over years past, and it was a much more efficient process. And not one department had any trouble meeting their August 10th deadline. Once the budgets were submitted to our office, we began the audit process. Because we didn't have to re-enter these budgets in the system, it allowed us to spend considerable time correcting bars, numbers, object codes, description codes that have been incorrect from the first day we started using Munis. We also added clarification to the description codes. For instance, in my budget, instead of using a broad description of salaries, we identified them as Office Technician 1, Election Technician 2, licensing managers. And I think this level of clarity will greatly benefit the board and also all the departments when the budget discussions begin. Making all of these overdue corrections and all the changes in the budget was a huge accomplishment this year, and I really would like to give Shannon, Michelle, and Paige extra credit for that extra effort. The preliminary budget we're presenting today consists of 3 different publications: the detailed budget for current expense, a detailed budget for the special funds, and a budget summary primarily for current expense that was compiled for you by Leo Kim, our Chief Finance Manager. Each of these budgets include what the actual revenues and expenditures were for 2014, what they were budgeted in 2015, what revenues have been brought in and what they've spent through August of this year, and the budgets that were requested in 2016. This might be a good time to make note that you may notice when you're reviewing the detailed budgets that there is a minus in front of all the revenue numbers. Do not be alarmed. That's just how Munis was set up. It does not mean all of our revenues are in the negative. We also added an index this year, so when you're looking for a specific department, you won't have to thumb through the entire detail budgets this year in order to find that. And they correspond with page numbers. The total anticipated revenues for 2016 are $29,485,867. That's a 1.8% increase over last year. And the total expenditure requests are $38,001,740, which is a 19.1% increase over last year. Expenditures are about 8.5% greater than revenues. So in an effort to balance this budget, we utilized available ending fund balance. During the budget process, the county commissioners need to determine the appropriate level of the ending fund balance and subsequently adjust the expenditures that can be supported by these revenues. We have included in the budget summary just a whole lot of information for your consideration. There are comparisons, there's graphs, there's a list of the totals for special funds, transfers, ins and outs. Once you've had a chance to review these budgets, if you have any questions, we would be happy to answer any of those. Paige and Shannon have brought printed copies of each of these budgets for you, and Shannon has budget summaries for everybody here that will be left in this thing behind this table behind me that you can take when you leave today. All 3 budgets are also currently posted as of today on our website, www.co.mason.wa.us. Click on Auditor and then Financial Services. So with that, I'll have them pass out the budgets. Okay.
Any questions for the Governor?
Very excited that this was an easier process.
Tremendously. we're finally seeing the benefits of our new financial system. It took us a year and a half.
Well,
It's a lot.
thank you very much, Madam.
You're welcome.
Okay.
There's an $8.6 million difference.
Wow.
Close that gap.
Maybe that's a question if she's still around there.
Oh,
What she sees.
all my sports team just left. I'm just the
You can
messenger.
handle this one. So, yeah, obviously that jumps out at you. There's a big difference between revenues and anticipated, desired expenditures. How does that compare with previous years? You've been here quite a
It's
while.
substantially higher.
Much higher, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Right.
Much higher. So what do you think is the reason for that?
I believe that the Board of County Commissioners left it up to the departments without putting them in, giving them, putting them in the box and saying you cannot submit a budget over the June 30 of your June 30 budget. That was no longer your directions. Instead, it was, that was the goal, but if you increased it, you just had to justify it in our narratives that we submitted today. I think that's correct.
Well, let's clarify, justify the request.
Yes, that's correct.
Not, that doesn't mean it's happening.
Of course.
It's not even by a long shot. But we wanted to know, the way we've done the process, we want to know the things that they think might be their shortfalls, the things where they think that any addition may actually help them to do their job better or serve the community better in different ways, so.
Yeah, I think it's a better process. I think by law, it is all the departments should have the opportunity to ask for what they feel that they need to provide the mandated services in their department. It just it makes it a little more challenging for you to balance the budget.
And that's the thing, what it is we took more pressure on ourselves to make the harder decisions. That's our job. And we did it on purpose. It wasn't accidental. We knew we were getting into. But that's how we feel we can do the best job. So, any further questions? Thank you very much, Matt. They came back.
I have some dedicated staff, yes. Heard me in here.
Well, now that they're there, let's ask them a good hard question.
Well, I guess I have a question. So we're only able to go back historically using this system to 2014. So
That's
we're
per law, that we go back that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we dive into the growth rate of certain requests or funds, we'll have to still go back to the old system and see what, say, 20.
Yes, the legacy system is still there, still supported. We still have data coming out of it.
Will it be apples to apples though, because with
No.
all these fixes of the bars?
No,
Okay,
it
so
won't.
that's going to be kind of hard, isn't
Yeah.
it? Okay. We'll try to be sensitive to that.